What are some of the biggest myths in South Asian culture that women are told about sex and pleasure?
I think the biggest is that you can have sex only after marriage. Women in itself is an icon of beauty.
We have to be sexy, but we can't know that we're sexy and we can't start believing it.
Can you imagine that all the poetry, all the art, everything is inspired so much on women's body? And then we women could be so shameful about our body.
Women are made to believe that the more you hide yourself, the more valuable you are.
You see that how much shame and how much ignorance and guilt also we are given at the same time.
Imagine a woman who's never explored her own pleasure. There's a lot of women who don't orgasm until 30, 35. Where does she begin?
By talking, one fine day, I asked my husband, what is orgasm? Mothers or fathers talking about this, we consider in our culture that it's more inappropriate than necessary.
Actually, you don't know what gets you pregnant. You think anything can get you pregnant.
A poor girl of that age might even think that even if I will kiss or hold hand, maybe I will get pregnant. That's the first step, like exploring your own body, exploring your vagina, getting in connection with your breast.
Do you think monogamy is a natural way of life? So welcome and thank you for joining.
Hi, Coco. Thanks for inviting and having me over on your podcast channel.
Thank you. I have been waiting for weeks for this conversation based on everything that we talked about the first time we connected. And then Pallavi recommended that I speak with you. And yeah, it's really wonderful. I want to know a little bit about you. First of all, how do you prefer to be called? Do you prefer to be called Srishti or Mohini? Perfect.
Yes,
Well,
that's my spiritual name. So I like people calling me Mohini in spiritual world.
how did you come up with this name?
I didn't come up. You get this name, you get initiated into the name. So this is basically my sannyas name. So yeah, so one of my teacher, she gave me this name.
Okay, and do you have any say in like if you like the name or not?
No, this is like you get because they know you, they feel your energy or something, and they feel okay, this is for you, and you receive. This is like basically receiving an initiation into the spiritual or sannyas world, and I'm an Osho sannyasi, so that's how
And
basically.
who can have this name? Like anybody in the spiritual realm can have this name or qualify for this name? Just curious.
It's not about this name in particular, it's about the sannyas or initiation. So basically,
Initiation.
yeah, the Osho sannyasi, they receive sannyas if they want to. So, and Osho has given a whole discourse about who is my
Yeah.
sannyasi. So my sannyasi is not a celibate. My sannyasi is someone who is Zorbada Buddha, who's in the world and yet can be a Zen in the marketplace.
Oh my God,
So
Osho. Okay, yeah.
yeah, so he's given a good discourse on who is my sannyasi or what is my idea of a modern sannyasi or a modern man.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Wow, I love that. That is so cool.
yes.
How many years has it been for you since you had your initiation?
I have been on spiritual path, let's say, since the age of 16. So I'd been seeking what is true love and what is truth. And that took me to many, many different teachers and gurus. But what really resonated the most for me was Osho, and in Osho, the path of Tantra. So that's how I started my journey in the age of 16 with my curiosity of myself, of knowing myself deeper, of knowing what is really true love. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, we're doing this whole podcast on pleasure practice and sex and how to be more, how to have more pleasure in life. But I'm just really intrigued right now. And I would interject. You come from India, right? And you were 16 and you said you were very curious. I'm not sure how that was taken in an Indian background that you're 16 and you're curious and you want to find your spiritual journey versus like following the journey that was kind of like laid out to you by your family or ancestors. You know what I mean? And how was it for did you put up a lot of resistance? Like very briefly.
Yeah.
What was
So
it like?
I think I was quite blessed because basically one of my cousin sisters, so she's also into spirituality and seeking and meditation, and I was introduced by her to different teachers. And then my ex-partner, my ex-husband, he is also Osho sannyasi and Osho disciple. So with him, my journey went super fast. Like it took up it took it up, and yeah, so it was I would say that I was blessed during that time with the people who were around me. They were very supportive of my journey. So even if there was resistance from my parents, it didn't really matter because my ex-husband was also Osho sannyasi, and I got that kind of freedom which I was looking for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, sorry, you can
and
go
I
on,
would just
please.
say that if you have will, there is a way. So if your seeking is really true, the doors and windows will open up. So that's what would be
No, I
my
believe that
message.
100%.
Yeah.
What were you seeking though? What did you set out to seek? Because it's so easy later when we're like able to articulate everything, but it's not so black and white when you're starting out, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, it wasn't. And I had several questions, and the questions are also not clear because sometimes you are looking for something, but you don't know exactly what you're looking for. And then slowly your questions becomes clear, your answer starts coming. So I think it was just seeking of some depth or something more alive, something more true. Yes, like seeking myself. I never had this question of, oh, I want to become, like people have career questions, right, at the age of
Yeah.
16. And I was like, no, I don't have these questions, or I don't have that seeking that I want to be a doctor, engineer, or somebody. So all I had was this seeking that I want something more, some depth, some what is true love, what is truth. These were my questions as a 16-year-old.
Did it have something to do with your faith?
No, I would say that my parents, they are religious, but they are not spiritual. So they would do their everyday routine of doing puja in the front of idols and everything. But it's more for me, I just felt that this is very robotic, but I never felt the meaning or the depth into it. So for me, I had been more spiritual than religious, I would say. Though now I understand more the depth of the religion or the depth of the rituals or the depth of the practices, what we do, whether it is in Hinduism or Muslim or Islam or Christianity, like I understand more the depth of the rituals or the ceremonies.
Yeah, no, that's so true. People are very religious in these societies, but they're not spiritual.
No,
The same
no.
same goes for people around me.
Yeah, yeah, we might just bow down to Allah or to God, but we don't know why and what is like means in Hinduism, especially, there's a lot of idol worship. In Islam, there is not so much, and yeah, but we don't understand what is the depth of the meaning or the verses even in the book, for
Yeah.
example. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
even in
Yeah.
Hinduism, we don't understand the scriptures. But let's stick to
Yeah.
our pleasure
Yeah.
topic.
I'm this is so interesting.
Yeah.
No, it's just that I've become a bit more spiritual over the years, and I think it's helped me connect to myself better. I can't say that I'm religious, but because I've tried to understand a little bit more about my inner self and the universe, it's kind of bridged the gap, and a lot of these holes have, kind of filled and answered. Questions have answered themselves. So that's why I asked, because for a lot of, I'm not sure, but for some people, it might be connected. So that's the reason I was curious. But coming back to the conversation, I've been focusing a lot lately on the podcast on women, and especially in the Pakistani context, on marriage. And when I speak about marriage, I mean mostly from a sex point of view. But I always like speaking to people from India because we're so similar, but actually not that far away from each other. It's more the politics, and the more the constructed differences are greater, because I believe our culture is nearly the same. And marriage or no marriage, what I really want to know is, for a woman, imagine a woman who's never explored her own pleasure. Where does she begin?
That's a very wonderful question, because when I was married, and for many, many years, even after the marriage, I was like, one day, one fine day, I asked my husband, ex-husband, what is orgasm? And he was also like, question mark. Yeah. So you might be married and you might have children, but you don't still know what is pleasure, what is orgasm. Yeah. And one fine day, like, women or men or the boys and girls growing up, there is no sex education whatsoever, neither in schools, neither the parents teach or talk about it, neither your friends know anything. So how and where do you learn? Yeah. I was lucky that I had love marriage, and I could still, like, I had experience more with my partner, with my ex-partner before marriage. But yeah, like, there is no scope of learning for women or for men. And I still receive so many sessions, like, people have no clue, like, what's going to happen, how do we do it, and there's so much anxiety and performance pressure on both the peers, like on both the partners. So yeah, it's really, I think the more we need is the awareness around our bodies, around our sexuality, around orgasm, around pleasure, to really talk with the women, especially when they are about to get married. So yeah, and we can feel more empowered rather than feeling more sorry, or rather than feeling, what am I supposed to do, or this anxiety and nervousness. So yeah, means, coming to your question, that how we can really empower is by talking, is the mothers talking to their daughters, sisters talking to their sisters, friends talking among themselves, to really start creating this awareness around the society, and that it's okay and it's not a taboo, or it's not hush hush to talk about these subjects.
Very recently, I had somebody on my podcast, and they said the exact same thing, that there has been a culture of grandmothers talking to daughters, granddaughters, mothers talking to their daughters, and I feel like that is somehow part of the problem, because mothers would tell the daughters, okay, well, you're getting married to this person, and now you have to sleep with a total stranger. Mothers don't teach you about sex from a pleasure focused angle. They teach you about sex from an abstinence angle, right? Okay, don't do this because this will give you an infection, and don't do that because this will offend the husband, and don't ask for this. Like, it's always like, don't do this, and the do's and don'ts. And I also feel like that culture has completely vanished, of moms talking to their daughters, because I feel like with the internet, nobody is talking to anybody anymore. It's just my feeling, because I don't know a single friend of mine who told me that I was getting married and my mom told me all of that, because I think the moms also assume that you know everything now. And I think that, I don't know, does it really happen like that? I don't think so. Maybe it has to happen again. Do you really think practically it happens and it's helpful when people talk, like like my sister and I don't talk about this stuff unless there is a problem? You know what I mean? We don't sit down and have a but that's just maybe us. Yeah, I think there's a lot of shame, uh, in shame over there, like, oh, but I don't want to tell her, she's my little sister, I don't want to tell her how I like to be pleasured, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So as you said, exactly, shame and shyness and taboo, like, these are not the topics to talk about. Yeah, we feel like, oh, sex is not really a topic, or lovemaking is not really a topic. It's like, oh no, if I will talk about it, it will be inappropriate. Yeah, like, if I talk about my sexual life, it would be inappropriate. Or mothers or fathers talking about this, we consider in our culture that it's more inappropriate than necessary. Do you see? Yeah, like it's more an inappropriate topics to be talked on the table rather than feeling necessary to tell your daughters from very young age, even when they start to bleed or menstruate. Like, how many of us received any wisdom around menstruation when we start bleeding? Forget even about when we are getting married. So, like, even from the early age, when the women or the boys and girls, they are like 12 or 11 years old and they're reaching and hitting to their puberty, that's the time. Yeah, before that, that's the time that we start talking about them, because we, between this 9 to 14 years old, we get very curious about our bodies. We get very curious that what is down there and what we need to explore. So that's really a good time for parents to open up, to tell them, even before that, like what is good touch, what is bad touch, what is about the consent, what about boundaries, what they are, what women prepare in their bodies once they start to menstruate, and how and what to deal, and not just from the point of view, oh, you get pregnant if you have sex. So yeah, like I
Yeah, it's a
think,
red flag. Don't have sex because you're gonna get pregnant.
yeah, that's all they tell you probably, that, oh, now you are menstruating, don't have sex because you will get pregnant. And then a poor girl of that age might even think that even if I will kiss or hold hand, maybe I will get pregnant.
Yeah,
That's what I used to think, that if I kiss and I might get pregnant. So
this is yeah, no, absolutely. And this is really true. Actually, you don't know what gets you pregnant. So you think anything can get you pregnant, like touching and holding, and it's just like some kind of divine power. If you touch somebody else, you can get pregnant. How do you know if you're touching somebody in a romantic way, or if you're touching somebody in a non-romantic way? It could just be an immaculate conception. This is really funny, but this is true when you really don't know. It's really true.
yeah, yeah. And so everything is in the dark, and you just keep wondering, okay, this or that. I remember that, once me and my friends during college time, we were having this conversation, and they were like, do you know that men feels attracted to women breasts? And we were like, no, no, though they must be like very bad guys if they feel attracted to women's breasts. So that's how the innocent conversations are, at that time. And it's so much needed for, boys and girls to just really get the right kind of source of education, and which could be parents, which could be schools, which could be, yeah, people, friends really opening up to each other, and we make it more appropriate to talk than feeling
Yeah,
shame, than feeling like, oh no, we cannot talk about this. This is a taboo subject.
yeah,
So this taboo thing has to be going from our culture, especially like Sweden. You're from Europe, you're from Germany, which are quite forward and developed countries. So what I know in Sweden, they have really well informed sex education in schools. And
yeah,
for the women, they receive like a whole menstruation educational kit in that country. And I was like surprised, wow, like this is what we need probably in all over the world to do.
yeah,
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 that
yeah,
brings more awareness than the darkness, than the ignorance. So what
yeah,
is
yeah,
right
yeah.
now is very ignored society, ignored young men and women getting
Yeah,
married or getting into dating or something.
yeah.
So yeah.
No, it's really interesting. But for the record, though, I was born and raised in Pakistan. I moved to Europe like a few years ago, and that's the reason I'm so passionate about this, because I came here and I thought, okay, where I'm coming from a country where we don't talk about sex and we don't talk about rights, and maybe Europe's different. And to be completely honest, Europe is different. Europe is a bit different. It's more open and all of that. But the truth is, I've realized it's not so different like they made us believe. Sweden is an exception. It's Scandinavia. I also used to live in Denmark. So I understand a little bit Denmark and Sweden and these countries. But the reason why I do this podcast is because in general, I believe that in general, the sex model all over the world is like telling women, don't do that. Nobody will tell you, but do that. Maybe it's good for your pleasure. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the model all over the world is a little bit about telling people what not to do. it's changing because so many of us are now sitting down and talking about it. But I think that even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, self pleasure and sex and these things were also taboo. Like I lived in the US for a bit. It was surprising how conservative America is. Europe is a lot more open than that. So I get what that yeah, it's definitely more open from than Pakistan, but there has to work. The work needs to be done. I think even in Europe, even in the US.
I completely agree with you that it's not that these countries don't have problems regarding this topic and subject of
Yeah,
pleasure as
yeah,
overall. And these countries could be more open and forward, but still they are lacking intimacy. Yeah.
yeah,
So what I see, the problem is that they might be open. The kids are, opening up and exploring sexuality at a very young age. But then what could be completely lacking is intimacy in the connections and authenticity and expression of yourself. So yeah, every place, every culture, religion, yeah, and has their own issues and concerns. But what I see in Asian countries is because we are so thick family oriented, because in Asian culture, family is really the core and important. So a lot of things can be resolved if we as family also bring these topics in a very healthy way to each other. So that's what I said, that mothers talking to their daughters, fathers talking to their son. Yeah, like they don't learn. For example, okay, we are talking more about women, but there's so much pornography which happens for young boys growing up because they become very curious, and what they see
yeah,
or masturbate on is pornography.
yeah.
So yeah, so to really
No.
talk to your kids, talk to your friends.
You know, you're totally right. There's a lot of awkwardness, and if someone feels totally awkward or disconnected from their own body, what's the first step to breaking that? Like physically, practically breaking that.
Read books. That's the first step. Read about it, and probably we all do. Then, what we teach is really about, or what I bring is more about sacred sexuality. But then I see that even A is missing, yeah, in the society. Like people not have even had enough sex than to talk about sacred sexuality in countries like India, for example. So yeah, to break this, what would be the age group you're talking about? So I could be really very specific.
From 17 to 35, 40.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women who don't orgasm until 30, 35. They have children and they don't know, like you said, they have children and they don't know
What
if
orgasm
they
is.
what an orgasm is. In Urdu there is a saying which you can understand because I believe you speak Hindi.
Hmm.
In Urdu there is a saying कि मेरे तो 10 बच्चे हो गए मुझे कभी प्यार नहीं मिला. Like I have ten children but I've never gotten love, and love is like the euphemism for sex and intimacy and vulnerability and orgasm, those things. It's really funny but it's true.
So I say often in my seminars that sex in today's time has become a way to release and to reproduce. But whereas sex is about intimacy, sex is about bringing a depth to your partner connection, to your intimate connection, to your marriage, to your romantic life. So, but sex in today's time has really zeroed down to, yeah, to release and reproduction. Releasing because you're so stressed working out outside in the corporate world. So you just want to have sex at the end of the day. And reproduction is, yeah, you just maybe do it because you want to have children, or yeah, it's just a quickie, or you just feel like, okay, it's a quick ways to release your mental stress. So, but what is pleasure? We don't know. What is intimacy? We don't know. And this is what has been my work around these subjects, that how to really bring a deeper way on physical, emotional, spiritual level between two people and between yourself also. So how to bring that connection. So I would say that whether it is okay, let's talk about, and we focus more on women because that's what you would like to speak more. So what the youngers probably, or the older women, can also do is explore your bodies. Yeah, look at your vagina in the mirror. Probably many of us, we have not even looked at our own vagina. So sit in the front of mirror, look at your naked body first of all, and see how does that feel. Many of us, we don't even probably look and adore our body. We just feel like, oh, we need to dress up quickly after the shower and rush to a meeting. So really see what you love about your body, what you really adore, what you really admire, because that brings automatically more body positivity. Yeah. Look at your private parts. So, because we haven't even looked probably at our own genitals in a proper way, we don't know. Then, for women to be really aware that their orgasm could be reached by self pleasuring their clitoris. So, if they know where is their clitoris, how to self pleasure, they can automatically be more aware about how to have an orgasm. Yeah, because clitoris is basically responsible purely for pleasure in women's body. So really look at your body, look at your vagina, self pleasure. And then one of the important part for women's body is her breast. And I know friends, school friends, with whom I was talking, and they have two children and they are already grown ups, and they fed and they nourish them with breast milk, and they have never connected with their own breast, like you said in Urdu, like I मेरे तो 10 बच्चे हो गए but मेरे को अभी भी प्यार नहीं पता क्या होता है.
Yeah.
So really connect with your breast. So we as women really need to feel. Can you imagine that all the poetry, whether or all the art, everything is inspired so much on women's body, and then we
Yeah.
women could be so shameful about our body. How?
Even music.
Yeah, like,
All the music is about sex.
no, forget
Really, a
about
lot
sex,
of,
about
but
women's
art.
body. You
Yeah.
see, like in all the advertisements, what they used to sell, how they sell most of the products in today's time, using a woman's sexuality, her body, and everything.
Yeah. Something about her hair, something about her skin, something about, yeah.
Yeah, like women in itself is an icon of beauty. That's how she is being revered as. Yeah. But on the contrary, you see that how much shame and how much ignorance and guilt also we are given at the same time. We could be sexy, but we cannot be really sexy and feeling that deep
Yeah.
inside us.
We have to be sexy, but we can't know that we're sexy and we can't start believing it.
Exactly, exactly.
Pretty,
So,
but not too pretty.
ex-
Thin, but not too thin. You know, that monologue from that movie Barbie. This was so true.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So really, we women need to feel beautiful deep inside our skin, and for that, first we really need to look, and we need to embrace, and we need to adore our own self. And doesn't matter if our hair are blonde or gray or dark, or our body is short or small. It's irrespective of the shape, size, color, formats. So wherever we are, can we really feel deeply confident in our skin, irrespective of what we are wearing? So that's the first step, like exploring your own body, exploring your vagina, getting in connection with your breast, exploring your erogenous points, what really feel good, really touch your body, really be like, explore different kinds of touch to start with. How can you touch yourself? We don't even touch ourselves. We have become so touchy with touch, and that's the problem more also from the Western culture. In Asian culture, we are still very used to touch because we have bigger
Yeah.
families. But really, like, touch your own self and feel what feels good. Maybe
Yeah.
using your nails, maybe using pressure, maybe using feather touch, watery touch. So there are so many things to explore your own pleasure. And
Yeah.
we need to start from somewhere. And then for women, what they can really do is that they move their body in a much more sensual way. Yeah, like women has this blessing somehow that a we are multi-orgasmic beings, and it's not our whole body is vagina. Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
we are so hardwired to bliss. That means that for us, even maybe kissing on the neck or just doing our hair, running the fingers could be so pleasurable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually have this blessing that we can feel pleasure probably in much more ways than a masculine body. Yeah, so it's already a gift for us. So to really explore this pleasure in different parts of our body, and really by touching, by bringing this connection to our own self, and that can already make us feel more confident, more empowered.
No, totally. That is so true. Oh my God. That is so true. Yeah. It's all about if you want to allow yourself to feel all of this. But if
Yeah.
you're still stuck in the shame and guilt and all of that, then obviously you're not going to let your mind feel or allow your body to register all of these things.
Yeah, like I give sometimes women just this practice, like stand in front of mirror and just touch your face like really slow and sensual, and just touch yourself in a way you have never touched before, and see how it feels. Yeah, we don't even know how to touch ourselves.
How do you define a pleasure practice? What does that look like in daily life?
Yeah, it's good. You say a pleasure practice and then you say in daily life. So
I'm also a victim of my environment.
give yourself 10 minutes breast massage, okay, for at least 7 days. Try. Now they might feel, what am I supposed to do with my breast? So just take oil, put something kind of an essence oil, could be rose or something which they really like, which can smell good. Yeah, put few drops. Just first rub your hands with the oil and just hold. Yeah, after bath, after shower, or before going to bed. Yeah, and just really start gently massaging in the rotation way their breast, and the really feeling like I claim it, and also feel what kind of emotions comes. Maybe this would be like, oh, this is unnecessary, or maybe some kind of emotions arise. So just even feeling. So my tip is that if we start feeling ourselves more, our half of the job is done. Outside in the world, we are so much in rush and race that we are just so much here. And pleasure is actually something could be very simple. Eating a delicacy of food could be completely pleasurable if we can connect with the taste. And how can we connect? If we slow down, if we really, like what we women need to do is slow down. Yeah. um, have a nice bath. Yeah, pamper yourself, pamper your body, and pamper in a way that you also connect. Like, I have this feather. Yeah, I will just,
I love that.
like, how long does it take? And if you just do this 10 minutes on your body, I can just say that you will already
Yeah.
feel very sensual. So just bring
Yeah.
these kind of props that you can play on your body, on yourself, and just
Yeah.
slow down and breathe. Yeah, and just really feel, how does it feel on my skin? What does it feel? How does it feel? And going really slow. So if I just do it like this, oh, I'm done, then you're done. But if you really go slow, you will allow yourself to feel. So bringing different props, could be whips also, to try. So, like, really be curious. So slowing down, coming from head to feeling, yeah, bringing some props. being creative, having some pamper time with yourself, having a bath ritual, for example, something so simple. You can do once or twice a week after work, where you really create your bathtub with rose petals, or even if no rose petals, just
Yeah.
with some essence oil. Pamper and soak yourself, really then touch yourself slowly, feeling just how does this feel to connect with my own self and giving this time to my own self.
Yeah.
And moving sensual, like
Yeah.
join a dance class which is sensual, that will bring also sensual movement and sensual energy in your body. So do twerking, for example, do belly dance, do kizumba, like something which make you feel like, yeah, I can move sexy. Yeah, I can move my body.
Yeah.
I can move my hips. Because in our hips, for women, we install so much of sensual eroticism, sexual data that we don't even know. So just moving even this area could help us to connect with our sexual, sensual energy and body.
When I started going into therapy a few years ago, I was abused as a child. So it was really hard to connect with my body. I mean, it was really hard to have healthy relationships with people. And I don't just mean sexual relationships, even like healthy relationships, being able to say what you want, being able to trust, because you're so critical that if you constantly scrutinize people, and especially if you're dating in the dating scene, if you're constantly scrutinizing, it's so difficult to have good relationships. And when I started going into therapy, my therapist actually told me that just stand in the shower and feel the water on your body, because I was so disconnected from my lower body because I was abused. And this was such a defense mechanism that every single time I would touch myself, I wouldn't feel anything. It's not even that I don't want to do it and whatever. But it's interesting because I never really carried a lot of that shame aspect. Um, there was awkwardness, but I never felt shame. I'm not sure why. What changed? Maybe I read about it and I was really into reading, but just building that connection, it came with water. And now I love being in a pool because I'm like, this is so great. Like, I live in Europe, so I don't like rain because it's inconvenient, right? I'm never going to be completely naked under the rain. I mean, I'm at work and then it's raining. It's so inconvenient. But I love the feeling of like being in a pool because it's nice and you can feel the water and it's not invasive. It's like, okay, I want to have the water all the way till here, but I don't want to cover my face. You can decide that, and it's super. I find this so comforting and so relaxing to be in a pool and lukewarm water. So, shower and bathing, it's actually a pretty close alternative to being in a pool every day. And it does something to your energy, especially for me. Like when I shower, I feel instantly better. No matter how rough my day was, I just, something about water. It's different for different people. Some people connect with fire, some people connect with air. I don't know. But for me, it's like, it's really water. So it's really true. The bath ritual.
Yeah, no, water definitely helps. So for me, even during my retreats, I take at least 4 showers in a day because I that's my way to cleanse the energy from myself after the session. So yeah, water is therapeutic. We are 70% water in the body. So it is like water meeting water, and what else? And I think for everyone it's a to do thing or to go thing.
You talked about sacred sexuality earlier. What is sacred sexuality?
That's a wonderful question. So, yeah, so when we plug in with sex, which is such a powerful life force energy, together with sex, meditation is awareness, yeah, bringing really your presence, bringing a clear container with consent, with boundaries, with awareness, yeah, and with certain kind of either breath work or sacred sexuality work. So basically plugging in with sex, meditation, and love, yeah. And we use breath, movement, sound to really channel our sexual energy in and upwards rather than the normal way or a layman's way of having a sex is that they will ejaculate and come. Yeah, like they will release, they will have an orgasm, especially for men, and they are finished. Yeah, or even women and men, both the partners will have an orgasm and they are finished. But in sacred sexuality, we teach a how you can channel your sexual energy in and upwards. Yeah, so you don't really come and ejaculate, but you can ride the waves of pleasure. So it's like going, so it's not a deep curve. So what we do is like we have 10 or 15 minutes of reaching to the peak and then crash. Yeah. But in, you can say in tantric sexuality or sacred sexuality, we can ride the waves of pleasure. So we don't just go up and finish and crash, but we can, the men also learn how they can have semen retention, how they can hold their ejaculation or prolong ejaculation. And we as women also learn how we can really be multi-orgasmic, and how we can also harness our own sexual energy for multiple or deeper orgasms. So basically we can have orgasm on every chakra, we say, or yeah, it's not just a genital orgasm. We can have energetic orgasm. So what we open through sacred sexuality is a doorway or a gateway to energetic orgasms, or to heart orgasms, or to have throat
How can you
orgasms.
have them? I love that. I know that you can have an orgasm with breath work.
Yeah.
Um, but what are some other type of non-genital orgasms that you can have, or energetic orgasms? And
Basically all, and this is the beauty of tantra or meditation or sacred sexuality, that we can open a rainbow of different kind of pleasure and orgasms. And there's a very interesting connection I address, why we people are addicted to different kind of sensorial pleasure in the world. Now, this could be drugs, this could be alcohol, this could be smoking, this could be Netflix or gadgets or scrolling unlimited hours, or work, yeah, like 14 hours working our asses off, because we are numb to pleasure. We are numb to feel. And what really can happen when we plug in with our sexuality, meditation, and heart and love, we become a magnetic person. We become really, we know how to master our own sexual energy. So that's the shift which comes from a normal sex to an embodied or empowered way of living our own sexuality. And then the sex doesn't remain as greed or manipulation, but more a celebration, more a deep way of connection.
I love that. Greed. I mean, it is. People are greedy for sex. Even if you love someone, even if it's the most loving relationship, a lot of times it is greed. What is in it for me? It is like that. And but I want to know. This is so fascinating to me because what do I need to do to have more energetic orgasms in my life? Like, what is one lifestyle change that I need to make?
Meditate.
And that could look like anything.
That could
For
look
example,
like, first is we need to be in connection with our emotions. So many people, we don't know what we are feeling. And then how to release like anger. Yeah, so anger is one of our potent form of energy. We can use anger to convert it into love, or to transmute this anger form of energy into its purest form. And that's what is also the path of tantra, that we don't say no to anything, but we learn how to transmute your energy into its purest form. Because as a child, you imagine that we didn't have anger, no? How you see the kids, they laugh, they cry in a minute, in a second, and the next second they just move on, they just don't carry. So because there's so much purity and innocence. So it's basically that you learn how to live your emotions, how to express your emotions, to really know what you're feeling in your body, and to also do breath work So they are basically certain kind of breath work which can help us to harness our sexual energy. So basically when our central channel is open, that means our chakras are opened and in alignment, the energy, which is called as also kundalini energy, is able to move from the bottom of our spine, the base of the spine, to our crown chakra. So, so we can basically open that. My first full body orgasm was without any genital stimulation. I was just dancing in a morning sunrise party on coconut water, 4 hours. I am dancing on the dance floor and I'm having this full body orgasm. And that was,
And how does it feel? Like, how does it feel to have an orgasm like that versus a genital orgasm? Is it
it was a gush of
different?
energy, I can say. So it's like, for me, I can tell about me, but I'm sure that different people could have different kind of experiences when they have full body orgasms or non-genital stimulated orgasms or full body orgasms. So for me, I can explain like I'm standing on the dance floor with my legs being squeezed, like crossed and squeezed, and there's this like energy coming, like from my sex center to in and upwards. Like I'm just really like so much having pleasure and just enjoying this energetic wave going in my body. And after that experience, I felt like I feel sexually liberated. I was like, who needs lingam? Yeah, like lingam is basically the penis. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I feel like I am the master of my own pleasure now. Like there was a certain kind of liberation. Yeah, it's not that, oh, I stopped dating men after that or something, or I don't need relationships, but there is a kind of spaciousness comes. Yeah, like you
Yeah.
start understanding yourself more, you start embracing yourself more. There's a kind of, yeah, spaciousness I can describe. Yeah, like after that experience and mastery to know that you can do it. You can experience pleasure in many more ways, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be only sexually stimulated orgasms.
So many people are talking about energetic orgasms lately, or maybe that's because I'm finding so many people like that. It's the universe telling me that there's more to this. What are some of the biggest myths in South Asian culture that women are told about sex and pleasure, and how do you unlearn them?
I think the biggest is that, which I was also told, that you can have sex only after marriage.
Yeah,
Can you relate?
I can relate to it
Yeah.
100%. Another myth that but I mean, of course, I knew that you can do what you want, but people will always tell you to have sex after marriage. But another myth that I was told was that sex is intercourse, like you need a penis for it,
Ah. Hmm.
and that is such a that was a very that's a myth that informs a lot of your opinions about orientation and sexuality, because then you're like, okay, well, basically if you're with a woman, this is completely wrong because she has no penis, so women should not be dating women. Okay, well, also, if I'm pleasuring myself or I'm masturbating, this is also not sex, this is just something else. It's Self pleasure did not exist in my head
No.
until I realized this is a myth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need a penis. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So exactly, I didn't self pleasure myself until I was 28 years old. So I'm married, but I never self pleasured or touched myself. I'm married, but I didn't have orgasm, or I didn't know about what is orgasm. I didn't know about what is clitoris. I'm married and I'm 28 years old. And this is, I think, the
Wow.
case with so many women in our country. So,
Yeah.
and so many even boys, they don't know about women's vagina, they don't know about pleasure. So how to really even teach them? Yeah. So the myths are, yeah, sex only after marriage. Second, self pleasure is sin. Sex is sin in itself. Yeah. Yeah, like don't touch your body, especially for women, because for men it is boys because it's hanging out, it's still different. But
Hmm.
for us as a girl child, we are not really touching ourselves much or
Yeah,
exploring.
insertion is considered like a really big thing. I mean, if you have a hole, put something inside. Like, what does it matter? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and like I think what I was given, I can say and I can relate that many women are given is like you will bring something bad name, yeah, to the family if even you're spot with a guy and you're not going to get married with him.
Yeah. You're dishonorable.
Yeah, yeah, like it's a sin if you are seen or spotted with a man or a boy, even if he's your friend. Now it's changing, yeah. Like my niece, it's
Yeah.
different, yeah. But for I can talk like I would be scared to bring maybe my guy friends or yeah, like I mean, still I brought them to the house, but I think this is like yeah, like you're not doing good name to the family. And then I also would like to talk the unhygienic concept around women menstruation.
Yeah.
So we feel so dirty, so unhygienic, so painful, everything around our menstruation. So women also need to be educated and empowered and connected with their blood.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah. This
is
is the only blood that's not spilled. This is the only blood that's not violent. All the other blood is violent and it's spilled, and people are okay with that. And I say this non-stop. Like, why are men so like, why do men cringe about it, and why do women cringe about it? Everybody is comfortable watching violence on TV and on their phone screens. They just don't want to talk about period blood.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I feel like these are the biggest myths probably in Asian countries.
Are there any cultural or religious narratives that actually support women's pleasure or female pleasure? Because generally, we hear only the restrictive ones. But are there any like supporting narratives that we can learn about?
I can talk about Kama Sutra, which is the text
Yeah.
on art of lovemaking, not even just sex. Yeah. So it's basically teach the 64 different forms or arts of lovemaking, and that's not even sex. Like learning music is also one of the art. Yeah. Mentioned in Kama Sutra. So, yeah, so I can refer to these really scriptures and text, and most of the Hindu temples, like Khajuraho, yeah, these tantric temples, there are sculptures which are very erotic sculptures, and it can talk that sex in probably those time or era was something very normal and something very pleasurable and something very open. Yeah, it was not really so much underspoken. So if these temples exist from so many thousands of years ago, there must be a change. There must be a normalization, I believe, that at that time or era. So yeah, yeah, and you know what I heard even about, I don't know because these are all stories. What I heard about even the burqa, which came in Islam, it was not that women have to be veiled and protected, but because we women are the channels, we are the oracle, yeah, we are the oracle of some higher consciousness to channel through us. So the queens and princes and women, the high priestesses or the witches at that time, they would cover, they would put a veil on themselves to really go inwards to channel it.
Mm-hmm.
And how it has been twisted over a period of time is just, yeah, amazing. Like,
Yeah. It's really crazy actually. And now women are made to believe that the more you hide yourself, the more valuable you are,
yeah,
which is crazy because no other thing in the world is ever described as hiding or seeing less of is the same as value. I mean, if you're super talented, You're not going to hide your talent, right? If you're a great web designer, you're not going to be like, I'm not going to design a website because then people are going to see me and then I'm not going to be of value, you know? But with women, the more you hide yourself, the more valuable you are. It's like you're a jewel which needs to be hidden. And this is all just to police the bodies of women.
Yeah, how these stories have been given. Yeah, we really need to go underneath it. Who's creating these stories? What is this patriarchy? Where is it coming from? To
Yeah.
demyth it,
Yeah.
to debunk it. Yeah, and this is why I feel we women, we mothers, we grandmothers need to educate our daughters, need to empower our daughters, so we don't pass same generations to generations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, absolutely.
yeah.
And you know, this is a really wonderful conversation. I have before we close, I have one more question. Do you think monogamy is a natural way of life? What's your opinion on that?
It's a very interesting and good question. Yeah, so I can talk about monogamy or marriage is made by whom? Not made by God or Allah or Jesus
Yeah.
or, yeah, God.
It's an institution.
Yeah, it's an institution to control us. Yeah. Now, what suits us? Yeah, whether it is monogamy, polyamory, polygamy, is completely should be our choice. So it should not be, oh, because my parents are telling me I have to be in this marriage, and even if I am terribly unhappy and my wife or husband is abusing me physically, emotionally, mentally, and I still have to stay in the same marriage, or maybe because I have kids, I have to stay in the same marriage. It is like you are living a life of misery. And what would you even pass to your children is misery, not joy, not love, not happiness. So how is it that the God or Allah can teach you to be in that misery? No. So, so I would say that monogamy, marriage has to be, we are in such a time that we can open up that it's a choice and it's not given by society or by parents or by religion, irrespective of whether we are in Asia, US, Europe, wherever.
Oh, monogamy is a way of life everywhere. I mean, in most countries and most cultures, most governments give you tax benefits if you're married. That's an incentive to stay in that system, and they support that. So it's not just South Asia, actually.
Yeah, so I would say that it's good when probably two people, two grown-ups decide to have a child, that they feel okay, they would like a nest or a cocoon for a new coming baby, because this is also how the animals in existence take care. They create a nest, they build a nest, and they nurture the new coming life together. So if we are really bringing marriage with this awareness and this understanding and deep love connection, it is beautiful. Yeah. But if we are bringing marriage, which is right now, I see arranged marriages, especially in India and probably also in Pakistan, where, or, marriage when they are only 16 or 17 or 18 years old, and they are being pushed to get married. That's a crime. Like, I can talk about the girl who works as a helper in our house. She's just 20 years old, and just few days ago, her parents were forcing her to get married because they didn't have to pay dowry for her, and they were receiving the dowry from this boy's family or man's family. So they were pushing her to get married, and she didn't want to get married, and she wants to build her career, and she's more, modern times woman. So this is still happening in our culture, which is sad, where, young girls, they are being pushed to get married. Yeah, this statement needs to be changed. But talking about, for people who are working families or modern setups, monogamy or opening your relationship has to be discussed in a very mature and a deep understanding way. What are your desires? What is it that you want to live? why, and how you create safety for each other without hurting each other. So all this is a very mature kind of approach and mindset, which needs to happen. And also we need to know that this is a possibility. Sometimes we feel this is not a possibility because we don't have many examples in front of us.
Yeah. So when I actually ask if monogamy is a natural way of life, what I mainly mean is that, is it natural to be in love with one person your whole life? I don't think so. I mean, I'm in a super happy relationship, to be completely honest. But we often talk about this, and I often think that people who are also in happy relationships will meet somebody else once in a while and have a spark. And this is normal, this is human. What you do with that spark is your decision. And if your relationship or the terms and conditions of your relationship permit you to do something with that, or you go like, okay, well, I met this person and I think we have some chemistry, but I choose not to pursue it, and that's your choice. But a lot of people have, especially in South Asian culture, that but you have one soulmate and you're going to be in love with one person your whole life. I don't think that's how it works. I don't think that's natural. But I'm curious what you feel, if that is indeed natural. Yeah.
Yeah, biologically, we are very multi partners driven people. Yeah, if we talk about the biology of the body, it is natural for us to feel a desire for different partners. But yes, there is certain kind of rules and regulations being laid in our different cultures and nationalities and society. So the awareness, what is needed is, again, it's a choice. Yeah. If you feel, I think there is again a mindset being given, like sex is a sin. Similarly, monogamy is more prettier or more successful or more the way, natural way of life, as you say. It's again, maybe we
Yeah.
are passing from our parents or generations. So,
Yeah.
and there is maybe a fear around it to be maybe heartbroken or take risk or to be little bit out from the society. Yeah, to be a little bit black sheep because this is not commonly the way people live or not commonly acceptable. So we feel like, okay, then this is the way, or I'm very happy with this monogamous relationship. So I'm not saying monogamy is bad or monogamy is good, but I'm saying be aware of your choices, be aware of your desires, be and explore even before you say yes for a monogamous relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm saying yes to eat apples, but I don't know the taste of grapes or
Yeah.
pineapple or mangoes,
Yeah. Yeah.
which could
Absolutely.
be equally
And
delicious.
I mean, by that logic, if we are biologically attuned to having more than one partners, then is everybody polyamorous? I don't know. I think so. I think everybody is polyamorous if they look within themselves. It's like also people have mental blocks. But it's just something I think about a lot, because I'm like, how is it possible that you're in love with one person your whole life and you never explore outside? If you don't, maybe you don't find it. But if you do, it's highly likely that you might find someone else. And if you choose to stay with that one person, it's also great. But it has to be a choice.
It has to be a choice for sure. And I don't think so. In my experience, the more multidimensional being, the more colors you will add and explore to yourself, the more it's likely that you might feel attracted to more people. Yeah. Because it's just that you explore different sides of yours through these connections as well. Because maybe somebody brings more romance to you, maybe someone brings more intellect conversations to you, or maybe with some you like love to travel and explore the world, but maybe with someone you like to talk on books. So there could be so many different colors people can bring to our life. And yeah, so I would say that monogamy is not a natural way of life, it's a choice. Yeah, like if I want to be in a monogamous relationship, marriage, no marriage, out of marriage, open relationship, I feel it should be as easy as, yeah, like I'm very happy that in India they changed a few years ago the divorce. So it's not that
Mm-hmm.
complicated and people can easily also divorce. But I'm again not saying that divorce is the answer. Yeah, in Western countries,
Mm-hmm.
the divorce is a very high rate and people are still unhappy. So, what
Yeah.
is the answer could be a very deep conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. This was so nice.
You're welcome. And yes, I would just like to cover a little bit more on pleasure,
Yeah.
as that's the topic,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
sensuality.
Let's come back to that. Yeah.
Yes. So, and I would just like to say and debunk this myth that pleasure is only also sexual stimulated base. Yeah. I can eat a meal or I can just sit by the ocean and feel the pleasure sensation on my skin, or I can feel completely orgasmic. Yeah. So, what is sensuality is basically having this sensitivity. So sensual come from senses. Yeah, senses, sensual. So if we are awakened how to experience and feel our senses in an awakened form, like how people might feel on drugs, the green feels more greener, the sky looks beautiful, you start hearing the chirping of birds. So that's what can happen.
Your senses are heightened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your senses are opened and heightened, so that makes you sensual. And this can happen as a natural way of your being, that you are sitting in nature, you are having a meal, maybe you are having a conversation with someone and you look into each other's eyes deeply, and there comes this moment of totality, of no mind, of really feeling completely your senses. So pleasure can be experienced in many, many different ways and forms. Yeah. So, and we need not limit it only in the sexual stimulation way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and bringing more pleasure means bringing more feeling. Yeah. How you can feel the world in much more awakened, conscious way.
And what is the difference in sensuality for men and for women? Do we experience it differently than men?
Yes, there is a difference because the feminine is naturally more sensual being, and the masculine is more sexual being. Yeah. Now the difference is, if you see, we feminine would like to be wooed, to bring flowers for us, yeah, to go on date, to have these long bath, or we like romance. And what is romance? Romance is sensual. Yeah, romance is like bringing some flavor to the
Yeah.
intimacy. Yeah, so this is very natural for feminine. Now, a man could be also very much in his feminine because we have both. Yeah, so I'm not really sticking to very gender based, and that's why I'm using the words feminine and masculine, because someone can
We
identify,
have both.
yeah,
Yeah.
being in a man's body more feminine. So feminine is naturally more sensual and masculine is more sexual. And sexual, I mean, like he could be a very earthy being. Yeah, like masculine is like ready to penetrate, like, ha, I'm there. Yeah, like if I'm ignited in my lingam, it's erected, I'm ready to penetrate. But how does feminine take it is, oh, I need more time, I need 20 minutes of caress, I need foreplay, I need the dinner date, I need flowers. So what is that? That's sensual, that's feminine.
Yeah.
So you see how the polarities work. And that's how we are also helping each other to raise our energy upwards.
Yeah. No, that is so true. That is a lot of women, and this is an ongoing conversation, obviously,
Yeah.
that women see it in a very different way than men. Dating looks very different for women than it looks for men. Sex looks very different for women than it does for men. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I hope that our audience can enjoy with having at least some pleasure practices to do
Yes.
in their everyday life, and that you become more curious about how to bring pleasure in your life and how to
Yeah,
open.
and something more sustainable. I always feel like your pleasure practice has to grow with you. It has to evolve with you. It can't be something that's a one-time experiment.
No,
What would you say to somebody if they're listening and they feel like, for anyone listening who feels like they're too late to start this journey, what would you say to them?
it's never too late.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
never
just
too late.
start from wherever you want to, whenever you want. And sex has no age, also. Even women after menopause can feel completely sensual and sexual. So, yeah, just
That's also a myth, by the way, that
have.
once you've hit menopause, you're not in your prime sexuality anymore.
Maybe the sexuality will change a bit. I haven't been into my menopause yet, so I can't say too much. But what I have heard from different friends
People,
and
yeah.
mentors and women is it might change a bit, but it doesn't go off from the window, or they might even feel completely the same after they pass over the menopause stage.
Yeah, and of course it evolves. It's evolving all the time, and it's such a big
Yeah,
thing, menopause in your body. But I don't think that it completely makes you undesirable the way we're told that, okay, now you've hit menopause, you're completely undesirable.
no, it's a myth again. And
Yeah,
we, in fact, we say that we enter the wise woman phase when we go into our menopause. So, yeah, it's a beautiful phase for women's life, and yeah, there's more awareness needed also in that area.
I love that. Wise women's phase. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, yeah.
Is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, I would just like to give the message that pleasure is beautiful, sex is completely natural, and embrace your body, love yourself, love your body, and bring really deep, intimate connections, because that's what will make you happy and joyous from deeply inside.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking with me, and thank you for being here.